Timing and spacing. That's the basis of animation. It's core for living, and it's the same basis for life. I will jump into the personal stories pool now. That will be 5 episode stories related to 5 countries. 1 month of traveling. If you do not want to know me as is, please stop me right here. Part 1. I got tired of feeling lonely, sad, scared, of work that just doesn't feel like for me, of having no one to rely on or those I could trust, of myself disliking my body and my home. I bought tickets to 5 different countries, said to my boss that I need 1 month vacation now or I quit, and left everything behind. It was easy only after I said it out loud. The most magical things happen to me in times I don't care or want anything, and last till I start to care or want. That said, I wanted to be in relationships so much that I hardly ever got a date. And by that time, I got to the point when dying alone was a regular thought, and already a kind of a joke. When Slavic parents stop asking you when you will get married, you understand that they lost their hope in you. So I stopped caring. I had 2 weeks before the vacation. In that time, I got into romantic relationships with an international consultant who was actually a traveler. We met at a conference. I did not plan that. It just happened. The only thing we had in common was the field we worked in. Obviously, he was much better in it. He graduated from Cambridge. He learned how to fly a plane before he got a regular driving license, and his teacher of Russian was Yusuf Brudsky, a legendary poet, my favorite one. There was a saying that I came across in my teens: you can't have sex with someone who doesn't know Brudsky. I thought it hilarious. Now I don't. I've wanted to admire him, but in my blood, there were no words of admiration for someone who is stronger than me, only to those whom I considered weak. Once he told me how awkward he felt when some respectful publishing house asked him to write a book. I refused to get it. He feels what? How can such a crazy, talented, smart, genius, light, and free man feel awkward? I did not support him, nor did I say any of it out loud. He encouraged me with my 5 countries plan. We agreed to meet in Israel. He said that he will be my boyfriend, but I can have sex or date with anyone even though we are in the relationship, and that he won't do the same. I accepted this idea only in words, but I never liked it. I got on the road. Part 2. We chatted every day. I've wanted to settle down so much that at some point it burned me off until I stopped caring and actually said okay to his idea. Right after, in a few days, somewhere in Georgia, I fell in love with another man. I fell in love with his character and his charisma, and I start looking closely at him. Once he said that he wants to marry me, and he actually willing me to stop my trip and stay with him. In the same evening, I wrote my boyfriend that I wish to end our relationships, as this man wants me to stay with him, and I am willing to try it. He says okay. The time with the Georgian man passed fast. He was walking proudly with me. He held my hand wherever we were together. He showed me to his close friends, colleagues, and family, slightly boasting. It was too fast, and his certainty in what we have was frightening. I wasn't ready for it. I wanted time to get my thoughts together. Despite his request to stay, I went to the second country. In Azerbaijan, I met Rafik. He was an expressive man, full of boiling blood. We were singing songs at night on the streets of Baku, dancing wildly, waking up people, sharing stories, getting on top of roofs of high towers. He had this idea that one can only get a country through music, where the free movement of the soul makes its dance. He said he'd never been in love, but he will know it once he finds it. I've sung to him Nona Simone on the bus from the airport to the city. I've asked him to lay on the asphalt with me in the middle of some square at night. I encouraged his plans for building a hotel. All that time I wanted to share those moments, the same moments, with a man from Georgia. I wanted him to see and hear, to experience all that with me, to be proud of me, to hold my hand, to enjoy that with me. Rafik said he felt in love, and that I am the one. I got tickets back to Georgia on the same morning. When I came back, everything changed. I had the same clothes, same body and face, same spirit, the same voice speaking the same things plus one. I also want to be with you. But he wasn't holding my hand anymore. Once we were going together to his office, there was no rush, but he speeded up. I slowed down on purpose. He only noticed that I wasn't around when there was a distance of at least 50 people between us. I thought that there's always a distance between saying something and actually doing it. At that moment, it was measurable. At that same moment, my respect for him started to vanish, and so did my love. It's even funny how stubborn I am sometimes. I made a decision to come back, and I wanted my decision to be the right one, so much and in such an absolute extreme way that it took me years to accept that I should just let things go when I am not happy. I got tickets to Tel Aviv in a few weeks and continued my journey. Part 3. In Tel Aviv, I was very happy to meet men who did not like me. One showed me a great shashushka restaurant and told me how he makes craft beer. Another argued with me about who should be more scared using couch surfing, hosts or guests. The third one was an animator, and I hope you already get what it means for a beginner to meet a master. So it was not that anyone said anything bad to me, or even if they did, I never felt offended because nothing said was about me as a person or as a woman. It was about the moment I expressed myself in, and I fell in love with Tel Aviv for that. I lived with a guy who taught kids with tough past surfing and studied psychology at the university. He played guitar and had a big Labrador. Cockroaches were living in his couch. I was scared of dogs. His dog called Chubby slept at my feet on the couch. For the first few days when I was waking up, I wasn't moving for hours until Chubby left the couch. My fear was stronger no matter how much I wanted to pee. I loved being in his house, and I loved the freedom of being alone with all the obstacles coming along. Then I met a young professor of physics with a second degree in psychology. He has the biggest heart of all men I've ever had the pleasure of talking to, and yet he feels like it has never been enough for him in return. He invited me to move into his house. Clean, 5 minutes walk from the sea. He gave me keys, freedom to use the musical instruments, the kitchen, showers, laundry machine. I gave him a whole walnuts Georgian jam and all my passion for philosophical talks. I felt very good, protected, and yet free. I enjoyed the company, but it was all about timing and spacing. Once he said that he is attracted to me, I laughed instantly. I failed to explain why, and did it only years later. We kept in contact. I still cherish our relationships, the comfort of all his care and understanding. I do not know why he does it, and why I'm thinking, do I want to know? Reasons my mind recreates what Eugenie Griskovich says in his play God Forbid. It's all about timing and spacing after all. He dropped me at the airport and I land in Serbia. Part 4. In Belgrade, my friend met me. I've planned all this trip to meet him and enjoy time together, to absorb his wisdom and stories, to be alive and happy, but I arrived exhausted, with a broken heart, and a lot of messed up feelings and thoughts. I had a whole shelf of Milka chocolate with flavors that were never sold in my country. I had freshly cooked salmon almost every day. He took care of everything, cooking, cleaning dishes, evening events. He gave me his bedroom while he stayed on the living room, on the couch. Every time I've started complaining or asking for his advice, he'd say, "Embrace your feelings." But I couldn't. I've eaten all chocolate in the house and started feeling even worse. I hated myself for not being able to let go or accept changes, and he kept saying, "Embrace your feelings." I hated what these words triggered in me, and I started hating these words. Don't get me wrong, I'm good at self-destruction and self-punishment, but when it reaches the max, the poison starts looking for another focus of attention, not to kill its holder. I still couldn't allow myself to actually hurt anyone, as it was against my moral standards, but I had to come up with something. My friend wanted to show me a serial about the USSR. Conspiracy family with the main character who has the same name as I do. And so does my friend's dog, God forbid. It felt like he wanted it so much that I couldn't come up with a better revenge plan for embrace your feelings than say no every time he asked. That felt very good, to be honest. I'm aware of how childish and silly it is, but I still remember and like that feeling. Oh, sweet revenge. I'm certain he gets it and maybe even smiles for my destructive behavior as a real Hindu Lama would do, and I am very thankful for that. I left his flat in the evening to spend the night at the airport and asked him to download this serial to my laptop so that I would watch it all night long without him and with all my unembraced feelings. Fuck yeah. So he did, and so did I. Part 5. Belgrade Airport was under construction. It was cold there, and all the seats in the waiting area were taken, but I didn't care. I went to the reconstruction zone and sat down on the stairs near the wall and all the dirt. People were passing by when they needed to go to their planes. I was watching the serial and reconnecting with all of my feelings and freedom subconsciously. In other words, I was enjoying the absence of everything. One man starts to draw my attention. He had extra large luggage on wheels and was walking here and there very angrily. I liked that picture, but I had my cereal. For the first time, he came to me, asking about time. I said in a way people say, in Tel Aviv, hardly caring. He left. For the second time, he asked me for some directions in the airport, and without pausing the serial, taking off my headphones, or looking at him, I said, "I don't know." He left. For the third time, he came and sit on the floor in front of me very closely. He complained that his plane delayed for 2 to 4 hours, that his airplane company did not notify him, and that no one here is helping him out, that he is pissed off that he's stuck here, and that I am not taking headphones off. I looked at him very slowly. I said I don't care, and did not take my headphones off even for a second during his speech. He starts asking me, what am I doing here? Why do I wear jeans with holes on the knees? Am I poor or something? Why am I such an arrogant ass? And why I sit on the floor? Can't I get a chair? He was very stubborn, annoyed by where he is, by how I act, and he said it all out loud. Little by little, I opened up. I closed my laptop, took my headphones off, looked at him, and we started the best verbal battle that I ever had in my entire life. Every offense and harsh word said was so sharp, pointed in the right direction, reaching the very heart of the aim, yet none of us used any swear words or hurt each other's self-esteem. All the stress, hate, anger, self-punishment, and self-destruction vanished. I've crossed the line once, and he stopped me right there. I don't remember what I said or what he said, but I clearly remember the feeling. He respected me as much or even more than he respected himself. He just pointed the line that I shouldn't cross, and with that I understood that I can only be happy with a man who can do that. Thus I got an idea that I will marry the one who is that strong, stubborn, self-conscious, and caring to start a war for my own sake and end it right there before it would actually hurt anyone. No wonder I was looking for him for years after, but I never found him. We got very calm, sarcastically ironic after that battle. He said he owns some company, that he spent a year traveling, and that he is coming back home to Norway. He said his grandfather is from Russia, thus he has a Slavic name. He said he is certain that there is no love. He said he never had serious relationships, as he never met someone who would love him and whom he would love back, and therefore he doesn't believe in love anymore. I did not comment on that. Then he said he speaks fluently 9 languages. I burst into laughter. What's so funny, he said. If there is God, he has my sense of humor. I spent 10 days with a man who knows about the same number of languages, but everything he speaks about is love and embracing feelings. I've run away from him. And here is you, hating everything around you, saying you don't believe in love, counting the number of languages you can speak about it. After a small pause, he said, I forgot. Actually, I was married. We laughed. We did not exchange phone numbers or any contact information. He asked me to stay and talk with him longer, but I hugged him instead. I whispered to his ear that he will find love and that he is already loved. After all, it was always easier for me to give rather than receive. Standing on the Serbian escalator up to the gates, I never looked back. I did it days after, and it was already too late. That was the best lesson about timing and spacing I've had in my life. And most probably, it's a key frame.